Ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want to share with you a truth so simple, yet so profound, that it can transform the way you live. You have within you a power so vast, so creative, that it can make the impossible inevitable. I am speaking about the power of your imagination, the very faculty that shapes your reality. And tonight I will guide you through a journey, showing you how the words you speak, the images you dwell upon, and the convictions you hold can literally create miracles in your life. Imagine this: a man not different from you won the lottery, not once, not twice, but 8 times. How did it happen? Not by chance, not by luck, but by understanding and applying the timeless teachings of consciousness. Tonight I will break this down for you in 10 sections. 1. The seed of desire. Ladies and gentlemen, let us begin at the beginning, not the beginning of the world, not the beginning of events, but the beginning of creation itself within you. I want you to understand that every outer effect has its root in the inner world. Every accomplishment, every triumph, every fortune ever won begins first as a seed within the fertile soil of your consciousness. And this seed is none other than desire. Now do not misunderstand me. Desire is not a fleeting want, nor is it a passing fancy. Desire, in the sense I speak of, is a clear, definite vision of what you wish to experience, coupled with the unwavering feeling that it is already yours. It is the seed from which the entire tree of your reality will grow. Without this seed, nothing is born. But when this seed is planted and nurtured correctly, it not fail. The law is faithful. The law is precise. Consider the story of the man who won the lottery. Not once, not twice, but 8 times. Many would dismiss such an event as luck, chance, coincidence. But I tell you, it was none of these. He began with desire, not a timid desire, not a wish that wavered in the face of doubt, but a desire so real that it awakened every faculty within him. Every day he fed this desire with attention, feeling, and imagination. He saw himself as already victorious. He lived in that state. Now some of you may say, Neville, surely desire alone cannot produce such results. Surely one must act, one must strive, one must labor in the physical world. And yes, action has its place, but understand this: the outer world is not the primary cause, it is the effect. The inner world is the creative center. You do not win in the world of forms by straining or struggling. You win in your consciousness first, and the outer world simply obeys the state you maintain. So how does one plant this seed? First, you must identify your desire clearly, not vaguely, not generally, but precisely. What is it that you seek? Wealth, prosperity, recognition, freedom? Imagine yourself having it. Do not imagine the process. Do not imagine the struggle to obtain it. Imagine the fulfillment. Imagine yourself standing already in the result, feeling the satisfaction, the joy, the peace that accompanies its realization. This is the first act of creation, placing the seed. But placing the seed is not enough. A seed in the soil will not grow if it is neglected. It must be nurtured. And how is it nurtured? By attention, by the careful, conscious dwelling upon the image of your desire fulfilled, by entering into that state with feeling as if it is happening now. Many people plant the seed of desire, but then they turn their attention to the outer world, and the seed is smothered by doubt, fear, or disbelief. Do not allow this. The seed must be nourished daily. Notice too that the seed is invisible. You cannot see it in the outer world. The lottery numbers do not appear at the moment you plant the seed. The wealth, the victory, the recognition, it does not manifest immediately. And herein lies the test of faith. Can you believe in the unseen? Can you persist in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, even when all evidence in the outer world contradicts it? This is where most fail. They plant the seed, but the first sign of delay makes them dig it up and throw it away. But understand this: the seed of desire has its own life. Once planted and nurtured with imagination and feeling, it cannot fail. It will grow according to the law. Nature itself, both inner and outer, is faithful to its own process. If you can persist in your inner state, the outer world will reflect it back to you. And the man who won 8 times did exactly this. He did not watch the numbers. He did not fret over probabilities. He did not depend on He depended on his inner seed, nurtured daily with the conviction of its inevitable growth. Now I must speak of the feeling that must accompany desire. Feeling is the water that brings life to the seed. Without feeling, imagination is like a seed without soil. It cannot take root. You must feel as he did, the satisfaction of already having what you seek. Feel the joy, the relief, the gratitude. Let it flow through every fiber of your being. This is not a mental exercise. It is a living, breathing And when your inner state is fully occupied with the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you will be surprised how quickly the outer world begins to correspond. And there is more. The seed of desire, when planted rightly, does not only affect your own consciousness, it radiates out. The universe, which is simply consciousness made manifest, responds to the state you assume. When you feel rich, prosperous, lucky, the invisible forces align themselves to bring circumstances into perfect harmony with your inner world. It is not magic. It is the law, and the law never fails. Now let us consider the role of repeated affirmation in nurturing the seed. Repetition is not mere mechanical recitation. It is the reinforcement of your inner reality. Each night, each morning, he would affirm silently, firmly, and with feeling, I have won. I am victorious. Fortune flows to me effortlessly. These were not words he threw casually into the air. They were declarations of his inner state, and each repetition strengthened the root, made the seed grow taller, more certain, more potent. Some of you may be thinking, but Neville, what if the desire is great? What if it seems impossible? Precisely. The size of your desire is no obstacle. In fact, the greater the desire, the greater the manifest. For the law of consciousness does not measure by what seems possible or impossible in the outer world. It measures only by the clarity, feeling, and assumption within your own mind. He won 8 times because his desire was absolute, unshakable, and felt as real every day. And now, my friends, I want you to consider this carefully. The seed of desire is not a casual whim. It is not a passing thought. It is a living principle. When you plant it, nurture it, feel it, and assume it, it will grow until the outer world must yield. No external event, no delay, no circumstance can prevent it from becoming reality, because it originates in the invisible creative realm. Finally, I must remind you, patience is not waiting. It is persistence in feeling. The seed may take time to grow, but every day you live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You water it, you nourish it, you strengthen it. And like the man who won the lottery 8 times, you will find that what you have imagined, what you have felt, and what you have assumed will manifest with exactness. The law is faithful, the universe is obedient, and your imagination is the master key. So tonight, plant your seed, planted with clarity, planted with feeling, planted with unwavering conviction. Hold it before you daily with joy and gratitude. Know that it is alive, growing, and moving unseen toward its manifestation. Let no doubt, no outer circumstance disturb it. Your seed is the beginning of all creation. The moment it is rightly planted in consciousness, the world must obey. To you, the power of words. Now that we have planted the seed of desire within our consciousness, let us move to the next vital principle, the power of words. Words, my friends, are not mere sounds that pass through the air. They are potent vibrations, carriers of thought, and the bridge between your imagination and the world of manifestation. Every word you speak, every phrase you utter, whether to yourself or others, is a declaration to the universe of the state you occupy within. Consider this carefully. When the man who won the lottery 8 times spoke, he was not speaking casually. He did not say, I hope to win, or perhaps fortune will favor me. Such words void of certainty are seeds of doubt. They are statements that affirm lack, that strengthen the idea that your desires are separate from you, that reality is something outside of your control. But when he spoke, he declared his inner reality. He said silently and often, I have won. I am the victor. Fortune flows to me effortlessly. These were not idle words. They were declarations of his state of being. I want you to understand the significance of this. Words are the visible reflection of your inner life. They reveal the state you occupy in your imagination. If you speak words of lack, if you dwell on limitation, you cannot manifest abundance. But if your words are rooted in the feeling of already having, they become instruments of creation. The law does not hear what you say with your lips. It responds to the feeling behind the words, to the reality you assume in consciousness. Many people ask me, Neville, how should I use words to create? The answer is simple, yet profound. Speak as though your desire is already realized. Affirm it silently to yourself. Let your imagination dwell upon the scene of fulfillment, while your words echo the inner truth. When you say, I have won, do not imagine winning tomorrow. Imagine that you have already won today, that you are already standing in the joy and relief of victory. Your words aligned with feeling impress upon the subconscious mind the reality of your desire. Notice also that words must be consistent. The man who manifested lottery fortune 8 times did not waver in his statements. He did not vacillate between hope and doubt. He repeated, day after day, phrases that confirmed his victory. Consistency is the rhythm of manifestation. Inconsistent words, like inconsistent thoughts, confuse the subconscious mind and weaken the seed of desire. You must speak in harmony with the state you assume, without contradiction, without reservation. Now some of you may ask, what about speaking to others? If I tell people my desires, do my words lose their power? Here is where subtlety enters. Words spoken carelessly to the world often dilute the power of imagination. When you speak your inner reality to others, you invite their consciousness, with its doubt and skepticism, into your field. Therefore, it is wise to speak from the inner world first, to dwell upon your words internally until they are fully charged with feeling. Only then, if you choose, can they be shared externally. But remember, the creative work is primarily internal. The words spoken within are the keys that unlock outer reality. Let us explore the nature of the words themselves. Words must not merely describe, they must declare. I will win is a wish. I want to win is a longing. I have won is a state of being. Notice the difference. The first 2 phrases belong to the realm of lack. They look outward. They appeal to chance. They ask for evidence in the physical world. The last phrase belongs to the realm of creation. It assumes reality. It commands the universe. It aligns the inner and outer world. The subconscious mind does not argue with your words. It accepts as true whatever is assumed with feeling. If you say, I have won, and feel it, your subconscious mind takes it as a fact, and it moves to manifest circumstances that correspond. This is why the lottery winner did not consult probability, did not fear delay, did not depend upon external signs. His words, backed by feeling, had already commanded the outcome. The universe simply followed the instruction. Words also carry rhythm and repetition, which are crucial. A single word or phrase may plant a seed, but repeated words water and nurture it. Repetition impresses the subconscious mind. Nightly affirmations, daily silent declarations, imagining aloud in the privacy of your mind. These acts reinforce the state you wish to occupy. Each repetition strengthens the belief, and belief is the engine of manifestation. And we must speak of the inner dialogue, the words we say to ourselves silently throughout the day. These words are far more powerful than the words spoken aloud. They are the constant hum of consciousness, shaping your reality without interruption. The man who won 8 times carefully monitored his inner speech. He refused to entertain thoughts of lack, failure, or misfortune. His inner words always affirmed his victory, his abundance, his luck, and this inner dialogue became the invisible architect of his outer success. Let us also understand the power of negation. Words that deny, that complain, that lament, are destructive to creation. I cannot win. I am unlucky. It is impossible. These words act like poison to the seed of desire. Every negative word plants doubt, and doubt interrupts the natural flow of manifestation. Therefore, choose your words carefully. Speak as though reality has already conformed to your imagination. I want you to picture this. Each word you speak is a note in a symphony. The music of your inner world creates a resonance that the universe must obey. Discordant notes, negative, doubtful, uncertain words, disturb the harmony and delay the manifestation. Harmonious notes, words of certainty, feeling and assumption, resonate with the law and bring forth the desired effect. The man who manifested lottery winnings 8 times played his inner symphony with perfect harmony. Every note was aligned with the feeling of fulfillment. And finally, remember this. Words are the visible instrument of invisible creation. They are not mere tools. They are the bridge between imagination and reality. When you learn to speak from the state of already having, to affirm with conviction, to repeat with consistency, to avoid negation, and to guard your inner dialogue, you harness the full power of creation. Words become living forces, and the universe, ever obedient to your state, brings forth the manifestations you have imagined. So I urge you as you leave here tonight to examine the words you speak. both to yourself and to the world? Are they affirmations of your victory, or are they echoes of doubt? Choose them carefully, charge them with feeling, and repeat them with unwavering conviction. In this way, the seed of desire which we planted in the first section grows stronger, more certain, and inevitably blossoms into the reality you seek. The man who won 8 times did not rely on numbers, chance, or external signs. He relied on the power of his words, repeated and felt, aligned with the state of victory he assumed. And this, my friends, is the lesson for you. If you master your words, you master your reality. Words are not empty. They are creative. They are not passive. They are alive. And when spoken from the state of fulfillment, they move the universe in perfect obedience to your inner world. Being living in the end. And my friends, we arrive at one of the most profound principles of creation, living in the end. To live in the end is to inhabit the state of fulfillment before it appears in the outer world. It is to act, think, feel, and speak from the position of already having achieved your desire. This, I assure you, is the secret to all miracles, all success, all manifestation. For the universe does not respond to longing, wishing, or hope. It responds to the state you occupy in your imagination. Consider once again the man who won the lottery 8 times. Notice that he did not wait for the numbers to appear, nor did he place hope in chance. He lived as though victory had already come. He did not imagine the struggle to win. He imagined the joy, the relief, the certainty of being the winner. Each night before sleep, each quiet moment during the day, he dwelled in the reality of his fulfilled desire. This is what I mean by living in the end. He assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled and let that assumption govern his inner world. Many people fail in manifestation because they live at the beginning. They look at the present, at the circumstances, at the conditions around them, and they try to create from that point. But creation does not begin at the beginning. Creation begins at the end. You must first imagine and feel the result, and only then will the means, the events, and the circumstances appear in exact harmony. The end is the creative force. The beginning is only the reflection of what has already been imagined. To live in the end requires precision. It is not enough to vaguely wish for success, wealth, or love. You must know exactly what you desire, and you must see it clearly in your imagination. Picture yourself holding the lottery ticket, hear the numbers announced, feel the thrill of victory, the laughter, the relief, the gratitude. This vivid mental scene, accompanied by genuine feeling, impresses itself upon your subconscious mind, which is the creative center. The outer world cannot resist what the subconscious accepts as real. Notice too the power of repetition in living in the end. It is not a single act of imagining that brings manifestation, but a continuous dwelling in the state of fulfillment. The man repeated his scenes night after night, day after day. He did not allow doubt or distraction to erode the vividness of his assumption. This persistence is crucial. The subconscious mind, like a faithful servant, responds to what is consistently impressed upon it. If you persist in your inner state of having, the outer world is compelled to reflect. Now some of you may ask, Neville, how do I deal with the present reality that seems contrary to my desire? Here is the heart of the lesson. The present reality is not your enemy. It is merely a mirror of past imagination. To focus on it, to argue with it, to wish it were different, only strengthens its hold over you. Instead, ignore the present circumstances and dwell in the reality you wish to create. Assume that it is done. Live in that end and the present will adjust. The universe is obedient to your state, not to the fleeting events around you. Let us also speak of feeling, for living in the end is not merely a mental exercise. Thought alone is powerless. Feeling is the engine of creation. When you assume the end, feel it as if it is happening now. Feel the excitement of triumph, the joy of fulfillment, the peace of certainty. Let your emotions align with your assumption, and your subconscious mind will accept it as truth. This is the method by which the lottery winner manifested his fortune 8 times. He felt it fully, lived it fully, and allowed the outer world to follow. Persistence in the end is not merely about imagining once and hoping for the best. It is a sustained occupation of your consciousness with the state of fulfillment. Many people imagine, then forget, then doubt and wonder why their desires do not manifest. The law is simple. What you persist in imagining, what you persist in feeling, will inevitably appear. The man who won 8 times did not waver. His imagination and feeling was steady, unwavering, like a flame that never flickers. And so the law of consciousness produced results with perfect fidelity. It is also essential to understand that living in the end requires a quiet confidence. Do not argue with reality. Do not plead for evidence. Do not allow the outer world to dictate your inner state. The lottery winner did not scan newspapers, did not fear scarcity, did not question his fortune. He assumed it. He knew it. And in that knowing, the universe aligned to make it manifest. Your inner state must be equally unwavering. Certainty is the key. When you know in your being that the desire is fulfilled, reality is compelled to conform. I want you to picture this. Your imagination is a stage, and you are the actor already living the scene you wish to experience. You do not wait for props, for sets, or for audiences to arrive. You act as though all is present, all is real. You breathe life into the scene with feeling, with emotion, with conviction, and gradually, invisibly, imperceptibly, the outer world arranges itself to match your inner performance. This is the law in action. This is how miracles unfold. Notice too that living in the end does not require grand or complicated scenes. The simplicity of assumption, the clarity of feeling is sufficient. The man did not imagine complex scenarios. He imagined a single vivid reality. He had won. He held it clearly, repeated it consistently, felt it deeply, and allowed it to dominate his consciousness. Complexity only distracts, clarity and feeling create. And finally, I must remind you of the joy inherent in living in the end. There is a natural peace that accompanies the occupation of the state of fulfillment. When you live in the end, you are not anxious, you are not striving, you are not desperate, you are content, knowing that what you have imagined is real. This joy itself is a magnet, attracting the corresponding events into your experience. The man who manifested lottery winnings 8 times was not tense or fearful. He was relaxed, joyful, certain, and fully immersed in his end. So, my friends, tonight I urge you to practice this principle. Begin with a single desire. Identify it clearly. Imagine the scene as if it is happening now. Feel it fully, deeply, without reservation. Repeat it, dwell in it, persist in it, live in the end, and watch as the outer world bends to the image you maintain within. The law is faithful, the universe is obedient, and your imagination is the key. Living in the end is not a theory, it is the method by which all men and women have achieved their desires throughout history. It is the principle behind every success, every fortune, every miracle, and it is available to you this very moment if you will assume the state, feel it, persist in it, and live from it consistently. 4. Persistence of vision. Now, my friends, we move to a principle that is often overlooked, yet without it no manifestation can occur. Persistence of vision. Imagination alone, feeling alone, desire alone. These are seeds, but seeds do not grow without consistent attention. The mind that forgets, that wavers, that allows doubt to creep in, will never produce miracles. The outer world reflects the inner state of consciousness, and a mind that vacillates cannot command reality. Therefore, you must persist. You must persist with unwavering clarity, feeling and conviction. Think again of the man who won the lottery 8 times. Notice that he did not imagine once and then wait for the result. He did not allow his mind to be distracted by what he saw around him or by what others said. He persisted day after day, night after night. He returned to the same vivid mental scenes, the same state of feeling, the same assumption of victory. This persistence is not mere repetition. It is the continual occupation of consciousness with the end you desire. Many people give up too soon. They imagine, they feel, they assume, and then when the outer world does not immediately reflect their vision, they doubt, they fear, they turn away. The law of consciousness is not weak, it is not slow, it is perfect. But it requires that you do not waver. The moment you abandon your vision, you interrupt the flow. The outer world can only reflect what dominates your inner consciousness. Therefore, the first rule of persistence is, remain faithful to your vision regardless of external appearances. Persistence is not blind. It is not stubbornness for its own sake. It is a deliberate and conscious act. You persist because you know the law is faithful. You persist because you understand that the outer world cannot dictate reality. The man who manifested lottery fortune 8 times did not see lack. He did not see improbability. He saw only the end over and over until it became natural to him. Your persistence must be of the same quality, certain, joyful, undistracted. Let us examine how persistence works in practice. You imagine a scene, the result fulfilled. You feel it fully, as though it is now. Then you return to it, again and again, until it becomes a state, a natural part of your consciousness. This repetition is not tedious, it is the nurturing of the seed. It is the watering, the sunlight, the care that ensures growth. Without persistence, imagination fades, desire weakens, and the outer world remains unchanged. Notice that persistence also guards against the interference of doubt. Doubt is the destroyer of creation. Every time you vacillate, every time you question, every time you allow the evidence of the senses to overpower your inner assumption, you weaken the seed. But if you persist, if you continually return to the scene of fulfillment, doubt has no place. The inner reality becomes dominant, and the outer world is compelled to obey. Persistence of vision also strengthens your faith. Faith is not passive. It is not hope that trembles in uncertainty. Faith is certainty born of persistent assumption. The more consistently you dwell in your inner scene, the more real it becomes to you. The man who won 8 times did not merely believe once. He believed persistently. He held the end before his mind's eye, over and over until no shadow of doubt could disturb him. And in this persistence, he commanded reality itself. Some may ask, but Neville, what if circumstances continue to oppose me? What if the outer world shows no sign of change? My friends, you must remember that the outer world is never the arbiter of reality. It is merely a mirror, reflecting your past assumptions. Persistence is the act of maintaining your inner state, regardless of outer appearances. Continue to imagine, continue to feel, continue to assume, and the outer world will adjust in due course. Delay is not denial. Delay is merely the time it takes for your persistent inner state to impress itself fully upon the subconscious mind, which governs manifestation. And do not underestimate the importance of vividness in your vision. Persistence alone is not sufficient if the scene lacks clarity, if the feeling lacks intensity. The man who manifested lottery winnings 8 times did not imagine vague scenarios. He saw each number, felt the thrill, heard the announcement, and rejoiced in the victory. Each return to the scene was vivid, emotional, complete. You must do the same. A clear, persistent, emotional vision is irresistible to the subconscious mind. Persistence also requires patience. To persist does not mean to obsess. To persist does not mean to strain or struggle. To persist is to maintain a joyful, unwavering inner state, returning continually to the assumption that your desire is fulfilled, regardless of temporary appearances. The law works quietly, invisibly, and your persistence ensures that it has the opportunity to produce the visible effect. Let us consider a practical method. Each night before sleep, dwell for several minutes in your scene of fulfillment. Feel it fully. Imagine it in complete detail. Return to it every morning, during quiet moments, whenever distraction threatens. Repetition, clarity, feeling, and unwavering attention. These constitute persistence. And as you persist, your inner reality solidifies, your faith deepens, your desire becomes inevitable. Notice too that persistence is cumulative. Each act of returning to your inner scene adds. Each night of vivid imagining reinforces the seed. Each day of feeling the end as present adds to the invisible momentum. Eventually, your inner state becomes so dominant, so unquestioned, that the outer world cannot help but conform. The lottery winner did not achieve his results through a single act. He achieved them through sustained, persistent, joyful occupation of the end. Finally, understand that persistence of vision is not limited to material desire. It applies to health, relationships, career, peace of mind, spiritual awakening. Whatever you wish to create, the principle is the same. Imagine it vividly, feel it as real, and persist without interruption. The universe does not negotiate. It obeys. Your persistent assumption becomes the cause that produces all effects in the world of form. So tonight I urge you, identify your desire, imagine it clearly, feel it fully, and persist. Return to the scene repeatedly, joyfully, confident. Let no doubt, no discouragement, no delay shake your inner vision. Persist, and the universe will answer exactly as you have imagined. Persistence of vision is the silent, invisible, unstoppable force that transforms thought into reality, desire into fulfillment, imagination into the living, breathing world around you. 5. Faith as a creative force. Now, my friends, we come to one of the most essential and profound principles in the art of manifestation. Faith. Faith is not a passive hope, nor is it a weak wish. Faith is the creative force itself. Faith is the certainty that what you have imagined, what you have assumed, what you have lived in your inner world is already real. And when you possess such faith, you become a creator, a master of your reality, capable of producing miracles that the world calls impossible. Consider the man who won the lottery 8 times. What was it that enabled him to achieve such extraordinary results? Was it knowledge of numbers? Was it chance? No, it was faith. A living, dynamic faith that what he assumed to be true in his consciousness would inevitably manifest in the outer world. He did not hope. He did not wish. He did not wait. He knew with the unwavering certainty of one who lives in truth that his desire was already fulfilled. This, my friends, is the essence of faith, absolute, unshakable, creative certainty. Now let us understand what faith is not. Faith is not belief in the evidence of the senses. Faith is not belief in what is seen or heard in the outer world. Faith is not trusting in probability or statistics. Faith is a state of consciousness. It is an inner knowing that transcends the limitations of the material world. You do not create by looking outward. You create by assuming inward. The lottery winner did not consult the physical world. He consulted his imagination, his inner world, which is the true creative source. Faith operates silently but powerfully. It does not struggle. It does not demand. It does not beg. It quietly assumes, and in that assumption, reality bends and conforms. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between real and imagined. It accepts whatever is impressed upon it with feeling and conviction. Faith then is the impression of the end upon the subconscious mind, with such intensity that it becomes unquestionable. This is why the man manifested his fortune again and again. His faith left no room for doubt. Many people fail because they confuse hope with faith. Hope is a desire coupled with uncertainty. Hope says, perhaps it will happen, maybe it is possible. Faith says, it is already done. I am the victor. It is mine. Hope looks for evidence. Faith assumes reality. Hope trembles before appearances. Faith is unmoved by appearance. Understand this distinction clearly, for it is the difference between wishing and creating. Faith is also inseparable from imagination. Imagination is the workshop of the mind, the stage upon which your inner scenes are enacted. Faith is the certainty that what you imagine is real. Together, imagination and faith form a creative union. The lottery winner imagined his victories vividly and felt them fully. He did not imagine vaguely. He did not half feel the scenes. He immersed himself in the end result, and faith carried those imaginal acts into manifestation. Now some of you may ask, Neville, how do I cultivate such faith? How do I maintain it when the outer world seems to contradict my desire? The answer is simple but requires discipline. Persist in the assumption of the end, and refuse to be swayed by appearance. Persist in the inner state that corresponds to the fulfilled desire, and do not entertain thoughts that contradict it. Remember, the outer world cannot create, it only reflects. Faith creates. Persistently assume the state you wish to manifest. Feel it, rejoice in it, and the universe will obey. Faith also acts as a shield against fear and doubt. The man who manifested lottery winnings 8 times did not fear loss, scarcity, or failure. His faith was not passive. It was active, protective, creative. Every time doubt or fear arose, he returned to the scene of fulfillment, reaffirmed his assumption, and strengthened his inner state. Faith is not only the creative force, it is the sustaining force. It protects the seed of desire from the storms of uncertainty until it blossoms in the outer world. Let us also consider the practical exercise of faith. Begin with a single desire. Identify it clearly. Create a vivid scene of its fulfillment in your imagination. Feel it as real. Immerse yourself in the joy, the relief, the gratitude of already having it. Then persist. Persist in this state daily, nightly, continuously, until it becomes a living, unshakable reality in your consciousness. This is faith in action. This is the principle that the lottery winner applied again and again. Faith is strengthened by repetition and feeling. The more consistently you dwell in the scene of fulfillment, the more real it becomes to your consciousness. The more intensely you feel it, the more vivid it becomes. The law of consciousness responds not to your reasoning, not to your calculations, not to your planning. It responds to the intensity and persistence of your inner state. Faith is the bridge between imagination and reality, and it must be exercised daily, continuously, and joyfully. Now consider the joy inherent in faith. Faith is not grim, not anxious, not desperate. True faith is peaceful, confident, joyful. When you assume the end, when you know in your being that the desire is fulfilled, you are naturally relaxed. You are content. You are free from worry. This peace itself is magnetic. It draws the outer world into alignment with your inner reality. The man who won 8 times did not strain, did not fret, did not force. He rested in the certainty of his inner state, and the universe reflected it in perfect obedience. Faith is also cumulative. Each act of assumption, each vivid scene, each return to the feeling of fulfillment adds strength to the inner state. With each repetition, the subconscious mind becomes more fully convinced. With each expression of faith, the outer world moves closer to alignment. Eventually, your desire is inevitable. This is the principle that governs all manifestations, great and small. Faith is not partial. It is total. It is not occasional. It is constant. It is the force that moves mountains, opens doors, and produces miracles. And finally, understand that faith is available to all. It is not a gift for the few. It is a faculty of consciousness. You possess it now. You can cultivate it by persistent assumption, by vivid imagination, by feeling the end result, and by refusing to be disturbed by appearance. The man who won 8 times teaches us that extraordinary results are not the product of luck. They are the product of unwavering faith, exercised with imagination, feeling, and persistence. So my friends, tonight I urge you to exercise faith as a creative force. Begin today. Identify your desire. Create a vivid scene of its fulfillment. Feel it fully, deeply, joyfully. Persist in that state. Let no doubt, no fear, no appearance disturb you. Allow faith to carry your imagination into reality, and watch as the world conforms to the vision you persistently hold. Faith is the invisible hand that shapes the visible world. It is the bridge between thought and form, between imagination and experience. Harness it, and miracles will follow. 6. Dismissal of the present. Now, my friends, we arrive at a principle that most people overlook, yet it is one of the most powerful keys to manifestation: the dismissal of the present. Listen carefully, for your outer world, the world you see, hear, and feel, is not the measure of reality. It is merely a reflection of past assumptions. The present circumstances, no matter how discouraging, no matter how limiting, do not dictate the future. You are not bound by what is. You are only bound by what you imagine, what you assume, what you persist in feeling. Consider again the man who won the lottery 8 times. Did he focus on what he lacked? Did he dwell on the uncertainty, the odds, or the scarcity he perceived in the present moment? Never. He dismissed the present as one would dismiss a passing shadow. His attention was not on the current conditions, but on the reality he wished to experience. He lived as though the end had already occurred, and in that dismissal of the present, he made the impossible inevitable. Most people fail because they are bound to appearance. They see the world as it is now and believe it must remain so. I am poor, they say. I am unlucky. The odds are against me. They allow the present to dominate their imagination and feelings. But this is a fatal error. The present is merely a mirror of past assumptions. It has no authority over what you choose to assume now. To dismiss the present is not to deny it. It is to recognize its temporary reflective nature and to refuse to give it creative power. Dismissal of the present begins in consciousness. You must acknowledge the facts of the present, yet refuse to let them influence your inner state. See them as transient, as shadows that have no power over the creation of your desire. The lottery winner understood this perfectly. He knew that the numbers, the circumstances, the chance events of today were irrelevant. What mattered was the state he assumed, the scene he persisted in imagining, the feeling of fulfillment he carried in his being. Now some may ask, Neville, how can I ignore reality without living in denial? But you are not ignoring reality, you are recognizing the distinction between inner and outer truth. Outer circumstances are mutable, Inner states are created. The outer world cannot alter what you persistently assume to be true within. To dwell on the present, to react to it, to give it power, is to bind yourself to limitation. To dismiss the present is to reclaim your creative freedom, to occupy the state of the end, and to allow the outer world to follow. Notice too the role of imagination in dismissal. You cannot simply wish the present away with words. You must actively replace it with the inner scene of fulfillment. Imagine vividly, feel deeply, assume the reality you desire. This is the act of dismissal, replacing the authority of the present with the certainty of the end. The man who manifested lottery winnings 8 times did not argue with the present. He replaced it day after day, night after night with the living reality of victory. Persistence is crucial here. The present will continually assert itself, especially if you are accustomed to believing in lack or limitation. Doubts, fears, worries, and distractions will surface. You must persist in dismissing these intrusions by returning to your inner state of fulfillment. The outer world is merely noise. The inner state is the signal. Persist in the signal and the noise loses all authority. Let us also speak of the emotional aspect. To dismiss the present effectively, you must feel the end as real as if it is happening now. It is not enough to think about it. You must embody it. Feel the joy, the relief, the certainty, the satisfaction of already having what you desire. When you do this, the present, no matter how discouraging, loses its grip over your consciousness. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. You are a creator of reality. Notice the freedom in this principle. When you dismiss the present, you are liberated from fear, anxiety, and limitation. You no longer measure your potential by what is seen. You no longer calculate your possibility according to statistics or appearance. Instead, you measure by imagination, feeling, and assumption. The lottery winner did not calculate probability. He measured by the certainty of his inner world. And this is the freedom that awaits all who understand the dismissal of the present. I want you to picture this. Each time you see lack, limitation, or adversity, imagine it as a mirror reflecting the past. You are not bound by it. You do not react to it. You do not argue with it. You simply return to the inner scene of fulfillment, to the state of the end. The present becomes powerless, and your inner reality, persistent and vivid, begins to impress itself upon the outer world. This is how miracles are produced. Some may wonder, Neville, what about action? Do I simply ignore the present and wait? But action flows naturally from the inner state. When you dwell in the end, when you dismiss the present, your actions become inspired, effortless, and aligned with the creative law. You do not act from lack or fear. You act from fulfillment. The lottery winner did not force numbers, did not manipulate chance. His inspired action was the result of the state he assumed, the scene he lived in his imagination, the certainty he carried in his being. Persistence of dismissal is also cumulative. Each act of ignoring, replacing, and assuming strengthens your inner authority over the outer world. Each repetition deepens faith, intensifies feeling, and consolidates the creative power of imagination. Eventually, the present, no matter how contrary it may seem, bends to the authority of your inner state. The outer world must obey what dominates your consciousness, and the lottery winner exemplifies this principle perfectly. Finally, understand that dismissal of the present is not merely for material gain. It applies to all areas of life: health, relationships, career, peace of mind, spiritual awakening. Whatever you wish to create, the outer conditions are irrelevant. They reflect past assumptions. Your inner state, persistent, vivid, and faithful, is the only reality that matters. Dismiss the present, occupy the end, feel it fully, and the universe will align with you. So, my friends, tonight I urge you, recognize the temporary nature of present circumstance. Do not give them creative authority. Return continually to your inner scene of fulfillment. Persist in the assumption of the end. Feel it as real. Inhabit it fully. And watch as the outer world in perfect obedience conforms to the state you occupy. Dismiss the present, and you reclaim the power of creation, the freedom of imagination, and the certainty of fulfillment. 7. Inspired action and alignment. Now, my friends, we arrive at a principle that bridges imagination and the outer world. Inspired action. Many people misunderstand the creative law. They believe that imagining, assuming, and feeling alone will automatically rearrange the world without any movement on their part. But creation does not occur in isolation from life. It occurs through life, through inspired action that flows naturally from the state of being you occupy. The man who won the lottery 8 times understood this fully. His imagination was powerful, his feeling was real, his faith unwavering, but he also moved when the inner impulse called him to action. Inspired action is not forced. It is not laborious. It is not an effort born of struggle or anxiety. It arises naturally from the alignment of your inner state with the reality you assume. When you live in the end, when you feel the desire fulfilled, the mind and body respond in ways that are harmonious, effortless, and perfectly timed. The lottery winner did not chase numbers or scramble for chance. He acted when inspiration struck, guided by his inner knowing, by the certainty of his fulfilled assumption. This is the hallmark of inspired action. It is intelligent, timely, effortless, and aligned with your inner vision. Notice that alignment is the first condition for inspired action. If your outer actions are disconnected from your inner state, you encounter resistance, frustration, and delay. Many people act out of fear, scarcity, or compulsion, and wonder why results fail to appear. But when your inner state dominates, when you live in the end, dismiss the present, and persist in vivid imagination, your actions become a natural extension of your consciousness. They flow from certainty, not anxiety, from joy, not struggle. Let us examine how this works in practice. Suppose you desire wealth. You assume it internally, you imagine having it, you feel the relief, the joy, the gratitude of abundance. Now, inspired action may appear as an idea, a sudden insight, a thought that moves you effortlessly toward opportunities, toward methods, toward circumstances that support your inner state. You do not push, you do not force, you do not calculate. You act because the inner state demands alignment, and this action is guided by the law itself. The difference between forced action and inspired action is significant. Forced action comes from the outer world, from necessity, fear, or obligation. It rarely produces the intended result because it is disconnected from the creative power of consciousness. Inspired action, on the other hand, is a natural expression of inner alignment. It occurs when your imagination, feeling, and faith have produced a state that your conscious mind and body are ready to express. The lottery winner acted when inspired. He did not act merely because he thought he should. Persistence and alignment work hand in hand with inspired action. The law of consciousness responds to your inner state, not your external activity. But once your inner state is established, clear, vivid, persistent, faithful, the outer world begins to arrange itself in ways that demand your action. You will find doors opening, opportunities presenting themselves, coincidences occurring, and impulses arising that feel almost magical. This is not coincidence. It is the universe responding to your inner reality. Inspired action is the bridge that allows the inner world to manifest in the outer world. Let us also speak of clarity. Inspired action cannot arise from vague or conflicted inner states. If your imagination is unclear, your feeling half-hearted, your faith wavering, you will act hesitantly, erratically, and ineffectively. The lottery winner's imagination was precise. His feeling was intense. His faith absolute. As a result, when inspired action appeared, he recognized it immediately and moved without hesitation. Clarity in imagination and feeling produces clarity in action. Uncertainty produces confusion, delay, and failure. Now some of you may ask, Neville, how do I know when action is inspired? The answer lies in ease, alignment, and intuition. Inspired action feels natural, effortless, and joyous. It does not produce strain or tension. It aligns perfectly with your inner assumption. It is often guided by intuition, by sudden insight, by a sense of timing that surpasses ordinary reasoning. The lottery winner did not rely on logic or analysis. He trusted the impulses that arose from his inner state, and these impulses led him repeatedly to success. Notice too that inspired action often appears in unexpected ways. When your inner state is fully aligned with the end, the universe conspires to present opportunities beyond your calculation. You may receive ideas, contacts, or openings that appear coincidental, yet they are precisely orchestrated by the law of consciousness to correspond with your inner assumption. The outer world must obey the state you maintain, and inspired action is the natural expression of that obedience. Let us not overlook the emotional quality of inspired action. Joy, excitement, gratitude, and confidence accompany it. There is no fear, no doubt, no anxiety. The lottery winner acted with enthusiasm, guided by certainty, never by desperation. Your actions must be fueled by the state of fulfillment within you. Action without feeling, action without alignment, is ineffective. Action born of the inner reality is unstoppable. Persistence in inspired action is also the law works in rhythm with your inner state, but circumstances may require repeated alignment. You must continually return to the end. Imagine vividly, feel fully, trust absolutely, and act when prompted. Each inspired action strengthens the chain. Each movement flows naturally. Each alignment produces results. The outer world may appear slow, but your consistent inner state ensures that every necessary step is revealed in perfect order. Finally, understand that inspired action is not merely for material gain. It applies to every desire, every purpose, every dream. Health, relationships, career, peace of mind, spiritual awakening, all require alignment and inspired action. You imagine, you feel, you persist, and you move effortlessly when prompted. The outer world responds. The lottery winner did not manipulate or control. He aligned and acted. You too can harness this principle to manifest any desire. So my friends, tonight I urge you, cultivate alignment. Dwell persistently in the end. Feel the fulfillment deeply and allow inspired action to arise naturally. Do not force. Do not strain. Do not act out of fear or obligation. Trust the inner state. Recognize the impulses of guidance and move effortlessly when they arise. In this way, imagination becomes reality, faith becomes manifestation, and the outer world aligns perfectly with the inner state of being. Inspired action is the living expression of consciousness, the bridge that turns thought into form, vision into reality, and desire into fulfillment. 8. Mastery of imagination. Now, my friends, we approach a principle that is at the very core of all creation, mastery of imagination. Imagination is not a mere plaything of the mind. It is not idle fantasy or wishful thinking. Imagination is the workshop of reality, the creative force by which all desires take shape, the unseen hand that molds the visible world. If you wish to master your life and manifest extraordinary outcomes, to live in the fulfillment of your dreams, you must first master your imagination. Consider the man who won the lottery 8 times. What allowed him to succeed where countless others relied on chance and probability? He did not rely on luck, nor on external manipulation. He relied on imagination. He cultivated a mental scene in which his desire was already fulfilled. He lived it vividly, repeatedly, with unwavering feeling. His imagination was disciplined, precise, and persistent. This is mastery, the ability to hold a scene in the mind with such clarity, intensity, and faith that it becomes a living reality within consciousness. Now, many people misunderstand imagination. They allow it to wander aimlessly, to entertain doubts, fears, and contradictions. They imagine what is rather than what could be. They react to outer circumstances instead of creating from within. Such imagination is weak, scattered, and powerless. To master imagination, you must direct it consciously, deliberately, and persistently toward the end you desire. You must make your inner scenes vivid, detailed, and filled with feeling. You must live in them as though they are already real. Let us explore the method. First, choose a single desire. Do not scatter your imagination over many goals at once. Focus is the key. Then create a mental scene that implies the fulfillment of that desire. See it clearly, hear it, feel it. Make it real in your mind as if you were living it this very moment. The lottery winner imagined holding the winning ticket, hearing the numbers announced, experiencing the joy and relief of victory. He did not imagine the struggle, the fear, or the uncertainty. He imagined the end as already accomplished. Second, feel the imagination without feeling is lifeless. The subconscious mind responds not to words alone, not to concepts, not to logic, but to the emotional reality you convey. Immerse yourself fully in the scene. Feel the excitement, the gratitude, the satisfaction of having already achieved your desire. When feeling is intense and unwavering, your imagination becomes irresistible to the subconscious mind, and the outer world must conform. Third, persist. Mastery of imagination is not a one-time exercise. It is repeated daily, nightly, continuous. The mind is like a muscle. It grows stronger with consistent use. The lottery winner did not imagine once and hope for results. He returned to his scene night after night, day after day, until it became a state of being. Persistence strengthens the impression upon the subconscious, until it becomes dominant and invincible. Now let us discuss control. Mastery of imagination requires discipline. You must not allow the mind to be hijacked by fear, doubt, or contradictory thought. Whenever a thought arises that undermines your scene, dismiss it immediately. Replace it with the image of fulfillment. Do not argue with the present. Do not plead for evidence. Do not worry about circumstance. Keep your imagination fixed upon the end, and let it remain steady, vivid, and unquestioned. Notice the subtlety here. Mastery does not mean forcing the imagination. It does not mean straining, manipulating, or obsessing. It means choosing deliberately, holding with conviction, and persisting with joy and confidence. The lottery winner did not force numbers to appear. He did not calculate probability. He simply mastered the art of imagining the end, returning to it continually, feeling it as real, and letting the law of consciousness bring it forth. Imagination also thrives in vivid detail. The more specific your inner scene, the more power it possesses. General ideas, vague desires, and fuzzy images are weak and easily dismissed by the subconscious mind. Detail creates reality. The lottery winner imagined the precise scenario of winning. He saw the numbers, felt the announcement, and rejoiced in exactitude. Your imagination must be equally precise. Precision is a signal to the subconscious mind. This is reality. Persist, and it must manifest. Now some may ask, Neville, what if my imagination is challenged by circumstances? What if reality seems contrary? My friends, the outer world is irrelevant to mastery of imagination. Reality reflects the past. Imagination creates the future. Do not allow appearances to disturb your scene. Maintain it, feel it, persist in it, and the outer world will adjust in perfect order. The law of consciousness is faithful. It obeys your inner reality, not your outer observation. Mastery of imagination is also freedom. When you master your imagination, you are no longer bound by limitation. You are no longer at the mercy of chance, circumstance, or external opinion. You are free to create, to manifest, to live in fulfillment. The lottery winner exercised this freedom repeatedly. He was not constrained by what he saw or by what others believed. He imagined, he assumed, he persisted, and he manifested. This is the essence of mastery. Total creative authority over your inner world, and by extension over your outer world. Let us also speak of the joy inherent in mastery. Imagination is not a struggle. It is a delight. When you create within, when you feel the end is real, you experience satisfaction, joy, and peace. This joy itself is a magnet. It strengthens your scenes, deepens your faith, and accelerates manifestation. The man who won 8 times did not labor under stress. He delighted in his inner creation. You too must delight in your imagination, for joy fuels creative power. Finally, remember this. Mastery of imagination is available to all. It is not limited by age, circumstance, or talent. Every human being possesses the faculty of imagination. What separates the successful manifester from the unsuccessful is discipline, focus, feeling, and persistence. Master your imagination, live in the end, persist in vivid feeling, and you will command reality itself. The lottery winner did not rely on luck. He relied on mastery. You can do the same. So my friends, tonight I urge you to practice mastery of imagination. Focus your desire. Create vivid scenes. Feel them fully, persist without wavering, and dismiss all contradictory appearance. Return continually to your inner reality. Live in the end, and allow your imagination to mold your outer world. In doing so, you harness the most powerful force in the universe, the creative power of consciousness itself, and you become the author of your own life. 9. Unwavering belief. Now, my friends, we arrive at a principle that is both simple and profound. Unwavering belief. Belief is the fuel that powers imagination. Belief is the certainty that what you assume in your consciousness will inevitably take form in the world of appearances. Without belief, imagination falters, Faith wavers and persistence loses its potency. To manifest extraordinary outcomes, to create miracles, to live in the fulfillment of your deepest desires, you must cultivate a belief that does not tremble, that does not doubt, that does not falter under the pressures of the outer world. Consider the man who won the lottery 8 times. What was it that distinguished him from those who hoped, wished, or relied on chance? It was unwavering belief. He did not entertain the possibility of failure. He did not question probability. He did not let the evidence of his senses sway him. He assumed victory as a matter of fact. He knew in the very depths of his being that his desire was already fulfilled. This is the power of belief, absolute, undisturbed, unshakable, and creative. Many people fail because their belief is conditional. They say, I will believe if it happens, or I hope it will work out. Such conditional belief is weak. It relies on appearances. It depends on circumstances. It is constantly undermined by doubt. True belief, however, is unconditional. It exists independent of the outer world. It exists because you assume it to be true, and you persist in that assumption until it shapes reality. The lottery winner's belief was unconditional. He did not wait for signs. He lived in certainty. Now, belief is not blind. It is not wishful thinking or naive optimism. It is the conscious acceptance of your inner assumption as reality. When you assume the end, when you live in the state of fulfillment, you are not pretending. You are asserting a truth that exists in consciousness. The outer world may appear contrary, but your belief does not bend. It holds steady, immovable, like a lighthouse guiding the ship through stormy seas. This steadfastness is what produces manifestation. Unwavering belief also requires alignment with feeling. You cannot merely think, I believe, and expect results. Thought alone is powerless. Feeling gives life to belief. When you feel the reality of your assumption, its joy, its satisfaction, its certainty, you impress it upon the subconscious mind, which is the creative center of your being. The man who won 8 times did not only imagine, he felt the thrill, the relief, the gratitude of his victory. Belief without feeling is weak. Belief with feeling is irresistible. Let us explore how to cultivate unwavering belief. First, identify your desire clearly. Know exactly what you wish to experience. Then create a vivid mental scene that implies its fulfillment. See it, hear it, feel it as if it is happening now. Repeat it persistently, daily and nightly, until it becomes a state of consciousness. Do not argue with appearances. Do not allow doubt to intrude. Return continually to your scene and let the feeling of reality strengthen your belief. Notice the role of persistence in belief. Belief is strengthened by repetition. Each return to the scene of fulfillment, each immersion in feeling, each act of assuming the end reinforces the certainty in your consciousness. The outer world may resist, may seem contrary, may challenge your assumption, but persistence solidifies belief. The lottery winner did not waver after a single imagined victory. He persisted, returning to the scene over and over, and belief became his nature. Now some may ask, Neville, what about failure? What if my desire does not manifest immediately? My friends, appearances are not evidence of truth. Delay is not denial. The outer world reflects past assumptions, not current reality. Your belief must remain unwavering, regardless of the seeming opposition. Trust that the law of consciousness is faithful, that the universe will bring your inner reality into alignment with your assumption, and that your belief will inevitably be vindicated. Belief is also protective. It shields your inner state from fear, anxiety, and despair. When you believe unwaveringly, you are immune to discouragement. You are not swayed by criticism, by lack, or by temporary setbacks. The lottery winner did not let doubt, scarcity, or improbability disturb his inner certainty. Belief is armor, shield, and sword. It protects and asserts your inner reality, allowing the creative law to act without obstruction. Consider too the joy inherent in belief. True, unwavering belief is not anxious. It is peaceful. It is confident. It is joyful. When you know in your being that the desire is fulfilled, you do not fret. You do not strain. You do not argue with circumstances. You rest in the certainty of your inner state. This joy strengthens belief, intensifies feeling, and accelerates manifestation. The lottery winner's repeated victories were accompanied by a sense of ease, certainty, and satisfaction. Belief was his constant companion, unwavering and joyful. Unwavering belief also demands vigilance. The mind is easily distracted by doubt, fear, and the influence of others. You must guard your inner state, return continually to the end, and reject all contrary thoughts. When fear arises, dismiss it. When skepticism intrudes, replace it with the scene of fulfillment. Do not allow temporary appearances to dominate. Your belief must remain steady, unwavering, and unshakable. Finally, remember this: belief is available to all. It is not limited to a few, nor does it depend on talent, intelligence, or circumstance. Every human being has the faculty to believe unwaveringly. What separates the successful manifester from the unsuccessful is the refusal to surrender to doubt, the commitment to persist in feeling and assumption, and the cultivation of belief as an active, creative force. The lottery winner did not rely on luck. He relied on belief. So can you. So tonight I urge you, cultivate unwavering belief. Choose your desire. Imagine it vividly. Feel it fully. Persist in that state. Dismiss all contrary appearances. Trust absolutely in the law of consciousness, and allow belief to shape your reality. Let it be steady, joyful, confident, and unshakable. In this way you become the master of your imagination, the master of your reality, and the creator of your own life. Unwavering belief is the invisible hand that moves the visible world, the certainty that transforms desire into manifestation, and the foundation of all miracles. 10. The final revelation. Now, my friends, we arrive at the culmination of our journey together, the final revelation. You have learned the principles, the persistence of vision, the power of faith, the dismissal of the present, the mastery of imagination, the unwavering belief, and the inspired action that flows naturally from alignment. But all of these, as powerful as they are, converge upon one central truth. Reality is not fixed, it is malleable. It is shaped not by circumstance, not by chance, not by the visible world, but by the state of consciousness you occupy. This is the ultimate revelation. You are the creator, the cause, the source of your world. Consider the man who won the lottery 8 times. His story is extraordinary, yet it is not extraordinary in principle. What he demonstrated is available to every conscious being. He understood without hesitation, without compromise, that the outer world could not dictate his reality. He occupied the end in his imagination. He persisted, he believed unwaveringly, he felt the fulfillment as real, and through inspired action, which flowed naturally from his inner state, he brought the unseen into the seen. This is the law in action. This is the revelation. You see, most people live as if they are subject to a world outside themselves. They look at circumstance, they count odds, they observe probabilities, and they accept limitation as fact. But this is a fundamental mistake. The world is merely a mirror of the mind. It does not create. It reflects. Whatever dominates your consciousness, whatever you persistently assume and feel as real, is what the outer world will ultimately show. The lottery winner did not negotiate with the world. He impressed his inner reality upon it, and the outer world conformed. Now let us speak of the subtlety of this principle. It is not enough to wish, to hope, or to fantasize. These are passive states that do not dominate consciousness. True creation requires total assumption. You must live in the end, not merely contemplate it. You must feel it fully as though it were already accomplished. You must persist through doubt, through appearances, through delay. This is the discipline of creation. The outer world cannot resist the sustained, vivid, emotional, and faithful assumption of your desire. Notice also that this law operates silently, invisibly, perfectly. The lottery winner did not perceive the workings of the law. He only acted in harmony with it. He assumed, he felt, he persisted. The universe responded. You too need not know how it works. You need only apply the principles with precision and faith. The results will follow, inevitably, for the law is impartial, exact, and obedient. Let us examine one more essential aspect, the inner state. Creation is not in the act, it is in the state. The moment you occupy the state of the fulfilled desire, the work is done in consciousness. Everything else, numbers, events, circumstances, is secondary. It must conform. The law of consciousness is not impressed by anxiety, struggle, or calculation. It is impressed by certainty, feeling, and persistence. The lottery winner's repeated success was proof. When the state is right, the world must obey. You must also understand the role of joy and gratitude. To inhabit the end fully, you must delight in it. Imagine the fulfillment not as a distant hope, but as a living reality. Feel the relief, the freedom, the satisfaction, the gratitude of having what you desire. This emotional intensity strengthens the impression on the subconscious mind and accelerates manifestation. Without feeling, imagination is lifeless. Without joy, faith is weak. To experience the end fully, to rejoice as if it were present, is to command reality itself. Now some may ask, Neville, is this principle limited to material gain? Can it work in health, in relationships, in purpose, in spiritual growth? Absolutely, my friends. The principle is universal. The lottery, wealth, numbers, or fortune are merely examples. The creative law governs all experience. The same methods, vivid imagination, persistence, faith, dismissal of the present, mastery, belief, and inspired alignment apply to every area of life. Whatever you can imagine and feel as real, you can bring into manifestation. Let us also confront fear and doubt. The outer world will always present evidence that seems contradictory. Circumstances may appear impossible, odds may seem stacked, others may ridicule or discourage you. This is irrelevant. Your inner state is the only reality that matters. Persist, feel, assume, believe, dismiss appearances. Delay is not denial. Obstacles are but mirrors of past assumptions, not authorities over your current state. Maintain your inner reality, and the universe will yield. Notice too the elegance of this principle. It does not require struggle, strain, or suffering. It requires clarity, focus, feeling, persistence, and faith. Creation is joyful, effortless, and natural when you align with the law. The man who won 8 times did not fight reality. He impressed upon it his inner vision. He acted when inspired. He persisted joyfully. He believed unwaveringly. And so he lived in miracles repeated. And here is the final secret. You are never powerless. The moment you realize that all reality is a reflection of consciousness, that the outer world obeys the inner state, that persistent, vivid, emotional assumption produces results, inevitably, you are free. You are free from fear, from limitation, from doubt. You are free to create, to manifest, to live as the conscious architect of your world. The lottery winner's success is not unique, it is demonstrative. The principle is universal, the law is impartial. You too can live in fulfillment. So tonight I urge you, understand this revelation, occupy the end. Persist, believe, feel, master your imagination, dismiss the present. Align your actions with inspiration. Let your inner state dominate, unwavering and joyful. The outer world will follow, faithfully, perfectly, inevitably. You are the creator. Reality is your mirror. The final revelation is this. Whatever you assume as real, with feeling, persistence, and faith, must manifest. There is no exception. There is no delay that can frustrate this law if you remain steadfast. You have within you the power to turn desire into experience, imagination into fact, and vision into life. The man who won the lottery 8 times serves as a testament, a demonstration, a living proof that the principles are real, reliable, and universal. But remember, it is not the numbers, it is not the lottery itself, it is not chance, it is the mastery of consciousness, the occupation of the end, the unwavering belief, the vivid imagination, the persistence, the faith, and the inspired action that bring the unseen into the seen. You possess the same power, you can apply it, master it, and live in fulfillment. This, my friends, is the final revelation.